Good morning, Unity Church of Overland Park. I'm Reverend Jackie Fernandez, and it is my great joy to be with you this morning. We are in for it on our second week of our Fall Faith series, Embracing Uncertainty. And boy, when you name it, you claim it. And I have promised the staff never again to put the word mystery into the title of my talk today, Fantasy, Reality, and Mystery, because we are in the mystery this morning. A little bit happening with the tech stuff, and we are hoping to get Reverend Carrie back online with us. And just know that the staff is working behind the scenes, and we are so grateful for the gift of technology, which offers us a connection during this pandemic and during this time where we have to take extra precaution for our health and our safety. So I am just grounding myself right now, and I invite you, wherever you are tuning in from, whether you are with us right now in present time or you are watching later, you are with us now because there is only now. And so let's all just ground ourselves and breathe into this moment, this joy-filled moment in which we get to come together as spiritual community for our sacred Sunday celebration service. All is truly well. We are joined today by our very own musician, Terry Swope. So we are in for a real treat with that. And I just want to affirm, if you are new to Unity, you may not know this. And if you are a longtime Unity participant and member, then this is a good reminding. And I just invite you to really give life to these words that in Unity we honor all paths to God. We believe that all people are born in original blessing, and we honor and affirm people of all creed and color, ability, sexual orientation, and gender expression. We preach, we teach, and we believe in your wholeness as the beloved child of God. And we are grateful for the opportunity to gather together today to remember together who and whose we are. We light the Christ candle, which you will see lit next to me. The Christ candle, a symbol of that Christ light that shines within each of us in each and every moment. And we affirm together one of our foundational affirmations. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God, the source of all good.
Mm-hmm. And together we can affirm our vision that we hold for Unity Church of Overland Park, along with Unity Churches worldwide. So together with me say, a world powerfully transformed through the growing movement of shared spiritual awakening.
Thank you, Tiffany. Tiffany's pinch hitting for Reverend Carrie, who hopefully will just come in. I've asked Mike, who's working our tech behind the scenes, our dedicated volunteer, Mike Hobson, who many of you know, to just bring Carrie on whenever she joins, and we will know that it is the right time. So if you see her pop in, that is not a mistake. That is God showing up as the face of Carrie, Reverend Carrie, right in the perfect moment. And so we have a future space affirmation, and I want us, as we are grounding ourselves in this moment, to really know that as we speak this affirmation, that right now in this moment, we are empowered already. We are fulfilling. We are in the act of fulfilling our mission and vision statements. And so as we lift our vision to a future space, we bring that space into this now moment. It is already ours. We just are waiting for that moment and that place and space to be revealed to us. And so let's empower these words. Let's fill these words with that power and that knowing and that faith. As we speak together, we are grateful for our new spiritual home that empowers us to fulfill our mission. And so it is. We are grateful. I want to share with you that, as many of you have seen either in our e-news this week, if you are subscribed, or if you follow us on Facebook, you probably would have seen the post that our beloved songbird, Molly Hammer, announced this week that she is now entering home hospice. And the best guesstimate that she's been given is 8 to 12 weeks. And I offer that not as a prescriptive note of information, but knowing that that is often the follow-up question people want to know, because we live in time and space. But what we know in truth is that our souls know no time and space, and that we are always one with Molly, that she is now and always will be one of the most radiant threads in the tapestry that is our spiritual community. I've known Molly Hammer for about 20 years. She's known this community for at least a decade. And so I know that we are together in this walk with her as she prepares to take flight in her spirit form. And I know that you have been so blessed, as have I, with the grace in which she has fought this fight. I claim that she is a winner. She is the winner in this battle with cancer. And I'm so grateful that we as a community, that this city has been blessed with the presence of the face of God that we know as Molly Hammer, with the gift of her velvet voice, as our prayer chaplain Candace described it. And there is no descriptor that I have seen yet that captures it just like that, our velvet voice singer, Molly Hammer. So we are in discernment of how we might come together as a community to walk with her and support her through these next few months. We will see, if you have already been on Facebook, you will see that we posted a video of one of the last times she sang for us for a service, and she requested to sing that song, Everything New by Daniel Nahmod. And I invite you to take a listen to it. It is both on our YouTube channel and our Facebook page, and it is so powerful to see her really embody those words in her context. We will continue to have Molly Mondays, and we will dig into the archives. Fred is already looking for some of his Molly highlights, and we will celebrate that every Monday with a new video of an old video of Molly Hammer, because she wants her legacy to be love and music. And indeed, we know it is. And so we want to be part of that, of that dream of hers and that hope of hers, that is her legacy. We affirm that with her. It already is. And I see, Reverend Carrie, you have joined us just in time for our opening prayer, and just in time to hear that I've been sharing and talking about our wonderful friend, Molly Hammer. And so I know that you will unfold that knowledge, that knowing, and the wisdom that we hold and the love that we hold in our hearts to be with her through this time, into our opening prayer.
Absolutely. Oh, well, let's just take a nice deep breath. And we bring that beautiful soul into our awareness, in addition to so many other souls that we know and love who are walking through difficult times. And we open our hearts in gratitude for the many, many gifts that come forward, especially at the most difficult times. We know that as we are one in God, we can claim the truth for each other. The truth of absolute love and acceptance. The truth of life that goes on beyond this human experience. The truth of abundance and prosperity. The truth of healing. The truth that as we join together as community, there is so much that can be expressed through us, as us. And so today we open to those possibilities. We open to the life and the love that is Unity Church being expressed today through the words and the music, trusting that every person who is participating live or in the future finds a little piece of inspiration, of hope, of peace, of joy. For it is all ours in this amazing, mysterious, wonderful life that is ours as spiritual beings having a human experience. So we breathe in the love and the light and the peace, and we breathe out into this beautiful manifestation of the world as we seek to know it. And we simply release this truth as simply as the breath that we let go of. And we open in deep, deep gratitude for what is already here, already manifesting. And so it is. Amen. And now I'm going to invite Lana, one of our board members, to come forward and share some information that the board has got to share.
Good morning. It's so nice to be with you this morning. I am thrilled and blessed to be a new member of the board representing Unity Church of Overland Park. The past 3 months have been stimulating time for all of us on the board as we have hired and personally met our new minister, Reverend Jackie. Reverend Jackie officially started September 10th, and she met with our board for our first Zoom meeting just 6 days later. During that time, Reverend Jackie reviewed with us the media reports from Facebook and how many views our virtual services and meditations are getting. She also shared her vision for the future of Unity Church of Overland Park. We were all amazed, but not surprised, at how much she has been working behind the scenes. Her muchness has been electrifying for all of us. We are looking forward to future congregational spiritual gatherings, both in person and virtually, along with special guests in the months ahead. Reverend Carey also updated us on the status of the congregational care and prayer chaplains after their mini retreat at Unity Village. They too have been busy making calls to those in need and alone during these challenging times. The board has been working with the Future Space team. We have been holding up on doing showings until Reverend Jackie could join us and get her guidance for our future home. Our next Future Space meeting, October 1st, with Reverend Jackie, should help us move closer to our goal of purchasing a new spiritual home for Unity Church of Overland Park. We also said thank you to our outgoing board member, Kathy Combs. We bless her and appreciate her for staying on the board until after the beginning of Reverend Jackie's employment. Her presence has been cherished. Thank you, Kathy. The board, along with Reverend Jackie, had planned our yearly retreat this coming weekend, but it has been canceled due to COVID outbreaks. So we will reschedule that sometime in the future. We on the board are sizzling and elated to be working with Reverend Jackie and her muchness. And we are thankful to all of you who are taking this journey with us. I am looking forward to seeing everyone in person again soon. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you so much, Lona, for that update. So as you can see, there is so much happening here at Unity Church of Overland Park. While we do not have a building, and the building we have been meeting at is closed for pandemic, the church, the business of the church, the activity and community of the church is not closed. We are open, and I just have to say a huge thank you. I am so grateful for this staff, for the number of you, of our congregation, our volunteers who are finding ways to step forward and to participate in service with a heart of service for this community. Our staff is working so hard, and I feel like it's a big feather in our cap together that I can say to you that we have about 50 people participating in our Fall Faith small groups. Not only the fact that it was kind of a last minute throw together deal and project, but that so many people came forward and are participating via Zoom in these small groups. And to me, that just demonstrates your desire to be an active community during this time. And so we have so much to be grateful for together, but my heart is just beaming. And yesterday, I got to meet with Kelly Corbett in our YFM department at Shawnee Mission Park. And Mike, you have a picture that we snapped there in the forest. So go ahead and put that on screen when you get a chance. We got to meet together, and Kelly, talk about diving into mystery. Before we got there, went off on a path and found this. You can kind of see that tree structure behind the group. Well, it's actually a bunch of tree branches that had fallen, and we're all kind of standing together around one small tree. And so Kelly had a bunch of like materials, natural materials. We picked up acorns from the ground and twigs and sticks, and she had twine and feathers, and the kids made ornaments, and we decorated this sort of natural altar in the forest. And you can see we had all ages from age 4 all the way up to seniors. And it was just a really wonderful time of exploration. She led us in a moment of silence in the forest, and we got to listen to just the heartbeat of the forest. Then we went exploring in the stream and then up for a hike. And wow, there is so much happening in this community. So when we are preparing, and as we are preparing to bless our love offerings and our tithes, it is in this energy that we know together that we infuse these gifts. We infuse these gifts. Money is energy. And so we bring it together and we release it to the universe, knowing that we are blessed as a community, and the work that we do together is our blessing to the world. So let's speak our love offering blessing together right now. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and I am joy-filled and grateful. Now let's take that joy into some music with Terry Swope.
Good morning, everybody. Here we go. I tried running when I was scared. I tried lying when truth be dared. I tried hiding in the dark, hiding and waiting and hoping for a spark, hoping for a spark to save me from the dark. But you can't receive if you don't believe. No, you can't receive if you don't believe. When I'm open to Spirit's call, I can rise up and I won't fall. That's the promise you know we do. The universe wants to give it all to you. Give it all to you. That's the promise in all we do. But you can't receive if you don't believe. No, you can't receive if you don't believe. You can wear it on your sleeve. You can't receive if you don't believe. You can't receive if you don't believe. No, you can't receive if believe. You can wear it on your sleeve. You can't receive. You don't believe. Here we go. Why not believe in each other today? We can dream a better dream that way. Why not believe in each other today? We can dream a better dream that way. Why not believe in each other today? We can dream a better dream that way. Why not believe in each other today? We can dream a better dream that way. Well, you can't receive if you don't believe. Well, you can't receive if you don't believe. You can wear it on your sleeve, yeah. You can't receive if you don't believe.
Thank you, Terry, for that original song. We are so blessed with music in this community and love that guitar. Okay, fantasy, reality, and mystery. And I got to say, I feel like the joke's on me this week. You know, when you put mystery into a talk title and anything that you prepare to speak about or teach about or share with another, you've got to have a lived experience of it a little bit. And so I kind of knew I was having fun with this talk title. It's not directly from the book that we are working with, Embracing Uncertainty by Susan Jeffers, but it certainly captures the two chapters that we will be working with this week, chapter 3 and chapter 4. And I got to say, I have been living in the mystery quite a bit this week, and the staff caught on to it this morning. So my apologies in advance, but also I trust that we are all growing from it. And if nothing else, just in camaraderie and trust with each other. So, okay for that. But, you know, the mystery, reality, fantasy, I would say that religion and science have been the two disciplines that are really created and trying to get after the mystery. And science sort of works with reality, right? Science wants to look at relationships of matter and things. I'll just say things to encompass all of the things, whether it's planets or trees or things that we can't see, quantum physics type things, and give facts to it, right? Give us information and facts so that we can understand the mystery that is this universe. And religion studies relationships between people and communities and societies, and the relationship with those people and communities and societies with the divine. Again, trying to get after the mystery. And so it's kind of this elusive spectrum, if you will. Reality, facts change, right? So what is reality? Your reality might be different than my reality. I have my perspective, you have yours. I have my set of facts, you have yours. I have my experiences, you have yours. We could line up 100 people and we can all watch the same event and have a completely different, 100 and maybe perhaps even 101 realities of what happened and what was observed. And then we have like quantum physics, which tells us that the universe is sort of unfolding in every possibility in every moment until it is observed. And when the observation happens, then a specific course of that reality is set into motion. And wow, boom, mind-blowing mystery takes us into mystery. And so then there's this fantasy, right? Fantasy, which is maybe what we imagine could be true, what we would want to be true, what we would prefer to be true than what actually is true, according to our experience and our thought collection of thoughts and opinions and assumptions. And then also it's this playground for us, right? Hollywood is built on fantasy and the idea that we can create this world that doesn't tangibly exist for us, but to whatever degree we live in our fantasies, we could say it's a reality. And yet again, both are sort of encased in this mystery. In our book, Embracing Uncertainty, Susan Jeffers talks about intuition. And so I'm kind of been working with the idea this week, because certainly I cannot explain to you mystery, reality, fantasy. But our promise and our commitment was to work with these ideas. The idea that I've been working with is our intuition is what takes us directly to mystery. So we have science and religion trying to give us information and stories and paths and ideas and concepts to get us to the mystery. And when we engage our intuition, we sort of leap right into the mystery, or maybe we leap from the mystery. See, I'm working with this in real time. I'm working with this idea. So if we're leaping from the mystery, there is a knowing, the all-knowing that is God, right? All wisdom, all love, all understanding that comes forth through and to us as intuition in a moment, so that we aren't going through our thinking faculty. We aren't going through a reason, like the idea that we can reason or logic our way into an idea or a knowing, but it's like a zap straight from mystery into and through us. So deep breath. Let me take a pause here. Because for me, when I'm thinking about fantasy and reality and mystery, I kind of shared with you last week that the idea that if you can explain something to a 4-year-old, then you really understand it, right? Last week I shared with you, I was asked by a 4-year-old, what does the word appetite mean? And I know what it means, I promise you that, but explaining what the word means proved a little challenging in the moment. So again, today, fantasy, reality, mystery, I'm thinking about children. And I was reminded of my 2 now teenage daughters when they were young, about 5 and 6 years old. And they were interviewed by a preschool teacher on video to promote her preschool. And their friend Isaac, childhood friend Isaac, who's the same age, was part of that interview. And so it was called Life of Superheroes, right? And what better fantasy does any child have than that which they are grown-ups, they are firefighters, they are police officers, they are teachers, they are doctors, they are superheroes, right? There is no, the line between reality and fantasy is completely blurred and off the table. And when they're in that fantasy, it is their reality, right? They fully believe they have the powers and they embody those powers, right? Very certain that they have every power that they want to claim as said superhero. So we had my daughter, Jamie, she's the younger of the 2. She'll be 16 next week. So she's heavily on my mind. She was Underdog, right? So some of you may be familiar with this superhero, Underdog. He's not a very strong looking dog, but he is a superhero. So this was her superhero that she had, and she had a mask on and of course a cape. Isaac was Draco Malfoy and Josie was Invisible Girl. So through this interview, and they got to play around and try out their capes, and there was a fan. They could hold each other's capes, and the fan would blow the capes, and and they were trying out their muscles and imagining all the ways that they were being these superheroes and saving the day and saving the planet. They had all of these stories, worked out, and then at the end, the teacher asked each of them to take off their masks and show us their real identity. Josie, remember, who was Invisible Girl, says, no, I can only reveal my secret identity to the video stations, like the news. Like she's like, I'm going to need the press here. So if the press can show up, then I will reveal my true secret identity. But until then, this is what you got. She's not going to give it up. Isaac lifted his mask up and he just has this look on his face like, haha, you didn't know it was me, did you? They're so in this fantasy that it is their reality. And he thinks you're surprised to see that it's him. It's just him. It's just Isaac. Jamie, she says, well, if I take off my mask, then I'll be just a regular dog. So do you see, she's got like fantasy upon fantasy, character upon character that she's working through. So she is the dog, and the superhero version of that dog. And she's thinking, if I take my mask off, then I'll just be a regular dog. And she's like, I'm not going to show you that. She's not even getting to what's behind that with her as 5-year-old Jamie. And I think it's so fascinating to think how deep children work with their imagination, this gift of imagination. In the book, Embracing Uncertainty, the author works with the idea that we use our imagination often to worry. And it is through our worry that we attach ourselves to unhappiness. So when I'm thinking about like the search that science and religion are taking to try to find the mystery, like it puts us in this perpetual state of we don't know and we don't understand. And it's more than we can possibly explain. So it puts us in this sort of like perpetual distance from the mystery and from truth. And then those who have the knowledge are sort of the ones with the power, right? And we've seen that play itself out over the course of history. Whew. And with children, we just see this, their fantasy is not used to worry. Now, not that children don't have real anxiety. I mean, the monster under the bed or the monster in the closet, being afraid of the dark because we don't know what's in the dark. They're battling, right, their own set of demons with mystery and with the unknown. But they also give completely over to what's possible and to possibility when they are working with fantasy and reality and bringing possibility into their own state of reality. And I think that's so fascinating because we never lose that capacity, right? We never lose it. Sometimes we stop using it. And like Susan Jeffers says, we start using it for imagining everything that could go wrong and worrying and where will the next this come from and how will we accomplish this and where can I get the skill set to do this or to be this. And we sort of degrade ourselves and our existence and our power into this perpetual state of distance from the mystery, from possibility. Poet Tennyson, 19th century poet, I think, he wrote this statement: self-reverence, self-knowledge, self-control give life sovereign power. Self-reverence, self-knowledge, and self-control give life sovereign power. That's deep. And it's right in congruence with Unity teachings, and it fits right into chapters 3 and 4 of this book. So I'm really glad I found it. And I'll say, this is a quote that I worked with before, so I'll have to say I refound it. I rediscovered it in this context. The idea of self-reverence, recognizing the divine within, divine potential, the beloved of the universe that is the universe, the mystery within us, self-reverence, self-knowledge, knowing who and whose we are, self-control. Whew, that's a big one, right? Working with our thought patterns that lead to our beliefs, that lead to the actions we take in the world, self-control. We can have these things, the knowing, the self-reverence, self-knowledge, self-control. And in Unity, we do this thing where we use a capital S, self, to indicate our higher self, our highest self. And so I'm going to invite you to think of those words with that capital S, self-reverence, self-knowledge, self-control. So it's not controlling of self or another, but it's self-control, it's discipline. Give life sovereign power. These are the things that bring forward power from the mystery into and through us. I'm going to give you an example from scripture because, I mean, let's face it, when it comes to fantasy and reality, right, scriptures, unfortunately, have been sort of distilled into one or the other, where people are thinking that either it is literal reality, and we can measure the life of the planet according to the dates in the Holy Bible. And, we can sort of map out the lifelines of these people and those people. And or on the flip side, you have people who say, it's all fantasy, it's all made up, it's all, we can't, and both completely dismiss that actual people wrote to these scriptures. Actual people are telling their stories. Actual people are working with that seeking of the mystery. And there is so much in it for us if we can let go of the need for it to be entirely reality or entirely fantasy. Either it's all true or none of it's true. Like, I've heard that. And I'm just asking the question, can it not be that these are the true stories of people, meaning they are truly stories of people? And many of the stories as they are written are not being written as truth. So, for example, in the modern day Western mind, if I were to tell you the story of Goldilocks and the Three Bears, I'm not actually telling you of a time in a forest where a girl went to a house inhabited by bears. You see what I'm saying? It's not a story meant to be a reality, but there is truth in this story, right? Truth is revealed, but it's not a real story that happened. So if we put that lens onto an ancient Eastern culture who is known to tell stories and even share their own history, not as a series of facts like we like to receive our history, as a series of who, what, when, where, but as a story revealing truth and revealing the things that are important for generations to pass down to one another. So there is a story in the book of First Kings, and Kings is like, that's where all the drama is, right? Stories about kings and their monarchies, although that's not the word that was used, I don't think, at the time. But let's stick with what I know. Elijah, great prophet, the book of First Kings. He is fleeing because people are after him to kill him, right? He is representing truth, God's truth, divine truth, and people don't like it. So they have made up their minds to kill him. And so he flees, and he is distraught. And you might even say feeling defeated. And so he sits under a tree, a broom tree at that, and he declares that he wants to die. And Lord, just let's get this over with. I want to die. And he takes a nap. He falls asleep. And an angel visits him and wakes him up and tells him to eat. Okay, so he's on this journey. Let me just pause right there. He's on this journey, and this is the story that I'm sure you are familiar with, right? So even if you don't read First Kings, if you haven't read it in maybe 10, 20, 30 years, it's okay, because you're going to know part of this story. It's the story at Mount Horeb, which is where he's going. And he goes to Mount Horeb, and he stands out there, and first there's a mighty wind. Like, we're talking mountain breaking wind. Then there's an earthquake. We're talking ground breaking earthquake. Then there's a huge fire in the face of the mountain. And then there's the still small voice. That's the part I think you've probably heard, the still small voice. And that's the voice of God. Okay? So, big drama, wind, earthquake, fire, still small voice. And that's God. God was not in the wind. God was not in the earthquake. God was not in the fire. Still small voice. Okay, so that's where we're going in this story, the place you're familiar with. And I want to back it up back to the angel and the nap, and also the snacks, because I think it's really important that we recognize that even in ancient Hebrew and ancient Israel, snacks and naps were important. Nourishment was important. The angel told Elijah, stop, eat, rest. You will need this food, this nourishment for your journey. And when Elijah wakes up, there's like literally bread on the hot rocks, cooked, and a jar of water. So he eats, he drinks, he falls asleep again. The angel wakes him again. You're going to need this food for your journey so that it will give you strength for your journey. And then Elijah begins the 40 days and 40 nights to get to Mount Horeb. So the angel, the good news, right? The deliverer of good news, as we see in scripture time and time again, snacks, naps, so that you have strength and sustenance for your journey. So if we look at this metaphysically, right, we are encouraged to, in our darkest moments when we've given up and we feel like maybe this life is time to get out of, we don't want to do the work that we've been called to do. Maybe we're overwhelmed. Maybe we feel like we're about to be overtaken. Do we stop? And not to diminish those moments, but nourishment, right? Have a snack, a nourishment, spiritual nourishment, a nap, a break from all of that mayhem that we are experiencing on the outside, right? This is about coming into the inner self, and then begins that journey, 40 days, 40 nights. And that, my friends, is the biblical time of enough. It is enough time that he comes to Mount Horeb, which is known as the mountain of God. So when we come into that inner journey, into the mystery, into the mountain known as God, this is what happens. God says, "What are you doing here?" And Elijah tells this story. "They're after me. I tried to do this. I'm fighting the good fight," essentially is what he says. "And they're after me, trying to destroy me. I'm done. I'm out." And God says, "Go out to the mountain and the Lord will appear." And then we get first this wind that is so great, it breaks mountains. Then we get the earthquake, which is so great, it breaks the ground. Then we get fire. And the scriptures say God is not in the wind, God is not in the earthquake, God is not in the fire. And while we say all the time, God is everywhere present all the time, yes, that's true, but God is not in the chaos and in the destruction and in the sort of madness that's happening all around us. God is present everywhere at all times, but when we are seeking God, we are not going to find God out there. And it's not that God is absent, but we can't find God and hear God. And so the still small voice, this is where it gets really, really good. Okay, Bible nerd, I told you that up front, but this is where it gets really, really good. More recent translations actually translate that phrase more correctly to the sound of sheer silence. The sound of sheer silence. God was not in the wind, not in the earthquake, not in the fire. And then there was the sound of sheer silence. And that is where God showed up. That is where God spoke. So it is the sound that cannot be heard with the ears. It is the sound and the activity that cannot be seen with the eyes. It can only be experienced within. It can only be a knowing, right? An intuition from the mystery directly to us, not through another person. Sure, we can be inspired to see the face of God in a loved one or in nature. But that knowing, that true knowing, comes in an instant, in a holy moment, directly to and through us from the great mystery. And in that holy moment when God spoke, he gave Elijah instruction to continue going. And Elijah went. So when we find ourselves in defeat, in despair, wanting to give up, and if statistics play out, there are many of us who have had these thoughts. And when we find ourselves there, what we are invited to do is to listen to the sound that cannot be heard with our ears, but to go within, to nourish ourselves on the journey within, prayer, affirmations, meditation, to break away from the chaos, maybe that is distracting our eyes and our thoughts, so that we can center in and discover the sound of sheer silence. So let's take this idea, this working that we are doing, into meditation right now. I'm going to ask you to find yourselves comfortable right where you are. So if you need to make some adjustments with your body, go ahead and do that. And when you're ready, I'm going to ask you to close your outer eyes and open the inner eye to the vast expanse of the mystery moving within you, having its being in and as and through you. When we come to a time of meditation, this is part of the nourishment. This is our snack, our spiritual snack. This is our nap from the outer world, our break from the outer world, from the stack of bills, from the struggling relationships, from the conflict, from the pandemic, from future spaces, from loneliness, from disease. We come into communion with the divine. We come into communion with self-reverence, self-knowledge, and self-control. And with that self-control, we begin to notice the body. And if it's holding any tension anywhere, we just release. We say, no, thank you, not now. If we notice any pain, we don't battle with it. We just notice it. We say, no, thank you to the battle with pain. When we take a breath, we notice the breath. Life-sustaining, life-giving breath. Nourishment. Spiritual nourishment. That we may experience the mystery. We don't need to change the breath, just notice it. If it helps you to release tension, to take a deep breath, then do so. If you don't need it, you don't need to do it. And we wait for the wind, the earthquake, the fire. It might appear as a city burning in the aftermath of yet another apparent injustice. It might appear as a conversation with words that you wish you could take back, or words that you wish you would have said. The fire could be an experience of rejection. The earthquake might be a loss. Whatever the destructive winds, earthquakes, and fires are in our lives, we notice them. And we stay present through them. And we wait for the sound of sheer silence. In a flash of intuition, we know who we are and what we are to do, who we are to be in any circumstance, as the presence and power of God. And we move into this knowing, into this being with self-reverence, self-knowledge, and self-control. And so we allow intuition to flow right here, right now, in silent contemplation. We give thanks for this opportunity to touch the stillness, to be stillness, to listen to the sound of sheer silence, the sound that is accessible to each of us in any moment we so desire it. And when we continue to work with these ideas, we begin to realize how much of the wind and the earthquake and the fire we actually create and grow and perpetuate. And so our practice in the stillness becomes that of self-discipline, self-control, self-knowledge, self-reverence. And we become divinely guided as the activity of construction, of creation, of generation and regeneration. And for this knowing, we give thanks. For this truth, we give thanks. And for all possibility, we give thanks. And so it is. Namaste. And dear ones, we are back to Terry Swope for some wonderful, heartwarming, heart-lifting music and an invitation to get out of the way.
Are you ready to sing with me? Come on. I want to hear you. Running around, fixing this and that, giving it up to God, then taking it back. Just release and let it go. You don't even have to think about it no more. Get out of the way, 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 let God do His thing. You look like you got the weight of the world on your back. Just take a deep breath, cut yourself some slack. All that drama ain't good for you. You couldn't change what is if you wanted to. Get out of the way, 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 let God do His thing now. Woo! Sun's gonna shine, the river's gonna flow, the tide's gonna rise without your say so. The universe is working and the good is flowing. You don't plant a seed and dig it up to see if it's grown. You get out of the way, 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 let God do His thing.
Woohoo! Yay! Terry Swope, that was awesome. Somebody said in the comments, naps, snacks, and rock and roll. It's a great way to have a Sunday service. So join us today after the service for coffee time. It's a good opportunity to connect on Zoom. If you're joining us for the very first time, you're welcome to come onto Zoom, sip your coffee, just listen to the conversation or talk to us. We'd love to have you. The Zoom ID number is listed below. It is 376-922-0711. You can also check out the UCUP Facebook page for details on how to join the meeting. We're also, the kids and Uniteens will be also joining on their own Zoom today at 11 o'clock. The kids lesson is Consider the Lilies of the Field, and the Uniteens are continuing their discussion of the book E Squared by Pam Grout. Also, we have been all looking for a way to safely get together and socialize with one another. So tonight at 6 o'clock at the Abdallah Shriners Temple in the parking lot, weather permitting, and with masks on and socially distanced, we'll be having a drumming circle. there. Abdallah Shriners Temple is at about 53rd and Metcalf. About a dozen drums and a variety of small percussion instruments will be available. And you can bring your mask, and you can also bring your own drum or other kind of instrument if you'd like to, and everybody is welcome. Bring a chair or a blanket to sit on. If there is a cancellation due to rain, so it's possible that it will be raining, that information will be posted on our website, www.ucop.org, after 3 o'clock today. So look for updates there. Also, our weekly e-news website, great way to stay up to date on upcoming events. If you are not getting our e-news, go to the website, scroll down to the bottom of the home page, and then just click on subscribe to newsletter. And everybody is welcome to that e-blast. It comes out every Friday. So stick around. We've got 2 things left for our service today. Terry Swope will be singing Blessed Always, and then we will welcome back Reverend Carrie and Reverend Jackie as they close us out for the day. And then we'll see everybody on the Zoom coffee hour.
We rest in God and say blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say
Amen.
Amen. We made it through the mystery, Jackie.
We sure did. And we are better for it.
Absolutely. Oh, I'd like to invite everyone now to say the prayer for protection with me. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Amen to that. Thank you, Reverend Carrie. So I'm inviting all of us to embrace the mystery this week, to look for opportunities to allow our intuition to come forward so that we can release our attachment to unhappiness and we can begin to live the life we were called to live, to be the love and the presence of God in this world. And this is how we empower and infuse our mission with who we are. And let's speak that together. Unity Church of Overland Park transforms lives and empowers people to make a difference in the world. Now, please join us in coffee time on Zoom in just a few moments, and you'll see the meeting ID number here again on the screen, and we look forward to chatting with you. Blessings, blessings, blessings to you and yours.